Inslee just made new recommendations to get kids back to in-person learning, even though we're still seeing an increase in COVID cases. So the question, why now? Well, let's get to King 5's Natalie Swaby live in Tukwila tonight with more. Natalie.
Well, what the governor is saying is not a requirement, but a recommendation for school districts like this one in Tukwila, where they've implemented a distance learning plan. What the governor is saying now is based on science and research. He's updating his back to school guidelines.
One of the sons is basically, he's on the verge of failing. It's been painful having to police him to get him to stay awake during his classes.
What are your biggest concerns, especially for your son who is close to failing?
I really feel for him because he's not getting an education.
Joseph and Nelia Caleb say remote learning for their two high school age sons in Bellevue has been a struggle.
And we're failing these kids. We're full-blown failing them.
They're pushing for in-person learning. And today, Governor Inslee said for schools and counties where COVID-19 cases are low, less than 50 residents per 100,000, in-person learning should be made available for all students. He says the updated metrics, less strict than what he'd announced in August, is the result of recent data that showed limited coronavirus transmission in schools when health and safety protocols are implemented.
I can certainly understand the first time a teacher would walk into a classroom after COVID with all these new protocols. That has to be a concerning and somewhat daunting experience. And I think it's our job to make that as safe, as reasonably competent as possible. And that's what we're trying to do here with these protocols that we're announcing.
In response, the Washington Education Association released this statement saying the trust and confidence that we can safely return to school is something that must be earned. It would have been easier to build that trust with educators with more communication in advance from the governor about these pending changes. And the WEA president went on to say that he does not want the governor's new recommendations rushed. He says that it's important that school districts meet safety requirements like having the right PPE and ventilation and distancing on day one. Today, the governor said he is going to issue a proclamation requiring school districts to make sure those safety measures are in place. Live in Tukwila, Natalie Swaby, King 5 News.